Hi everyone, and welcome to The Hash, your daily beat on crypto and culture. My name is Naomi Brockwell, and today on the show we have Will Foxley, Jen Sanasie, Zack, Seward, and Danny Nelson. Welcome guys, we've got a lot to dive into today. Let's start by talking about the giant crypto carnage that is happening right now. I'm gonna throw this straight to Zack, I believe. No, Will. Will, tell us about what's going on there.
I sure can. That shirt Danny's wearing is awful distracting, but we'll get past it and look at the prices here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for bringing that up.
The death of Bitcoin party.
The death of Bitcoin might be right. So this morning, Bitcoin dropped from around 38,000 to a low of $30,200, according to the Bitcoin price index on CoinDesk. So that's a pretty big red candle that a lot of traders caught. Ether and altcoins followed with $430 billion being wiped off the total crypto market cap this morning. So that's a pretty substantial number. I think before this, we were inching towards a $2 trillion market, and now we are just nowhere near that number anymore. So we saw a lot of cascading liquidations. A lot of traders thought that the kind of level of support was around between like 34 and 38,000. But then Bitcoin just kept plummeting and went right past that, pushed a lot of traders into liquidation. And that just kind of causes these cascades where other people are liquidated because of that. More people who are buying Bitcoin on margin are liquidated. They lose their funds, they lose everything. And then Ether and altcoins kind of follow wherever Bitcoin goes historically. And that was certainly the case this morning with Ether, I think losing close to 50% of its value. Luckily, we're seeing a little green on the chart right now. So we're pushing back towards 38, which is exciting. But I want to give us right over to Danny. He's in mourning.
I'm not in mourning. I'm having a party. We're having a change up in the narrative here. Bitcoin is crashing. Everything's following it down. I'm excited to see where we're headed next. You know, there's a whole lot that contributed to this plummet. First, we've got Elon with his walking back Tesla's Bitcoin commitment. Then I think a little bit of FUD on news that China would ban crypto, which isn't news. China did that many years ago. I think that contributed too. And now we just see a huge market sell-off as everything keeps going down. And, you know, it's like a snowball going down a hill. As it goes, it just continues to build. And that's where we are now, sitting around 37,000.
Danny, I have a question for you. People, I don't want to add to the mania, but newcomers to the space are panicking. I see a lot of panic happening on Twitter. What would you tell people who've just gotten into the space now, who are experiencing the low for the first time, really? What would you tell those people?
Well, I mean, personally, I got into crypto in 2016. And so I was all there for the 2017 crash. I think that I bought the top. I did not in 2017, so around 19,000. I did not sell. So this is historically, this is nothing new in the history of Bitcoin. We see these crashes every couple of years. I would say this is a pretty monumental one, just because the numbers moving are so big. But they call it HODL for a reason. So if you're a newcomer to the space, this is what it's all about.
This is the volatility that you signed up for. It just feels different when it hits. It feels very scary when that numbers keeps going down and down and down. But, you know, it's a cyclical, crypto cyclicality is a real thing. And this is part and parcel of the whole thing. It's interesting to see. I mean, obviously, like, you know, more publicly listed companies are tied to Bitcoin in some way, shape, or form. So Coinbase stock was down today. MicroStrategy stock was down today. Square stock down a little bit today. So it's interesting to see these repercussions as Bitcoin goes red. But yeah, this is the number go down moment, right? Like, this happens, and this is something that people will feel and learn from, and hopefully it won't be too burned and miserable at the industry going forward for the next few years. I'll toss this to you, Naomi. I mean, you've seen a couple of these cycles in your day. How does this feel? Does it feel similar or different from past dips?
I mean, it's back to what, February prices? Like, just go back a few months, and it's like we were really excited a few months ago, but because we've seen what it feels like to be right at the top, now it just feels so devastating. But yeah, this stuff's going to happen. When China initially announced their news in 2017, the price took a hit in September. I think it plunged like 6 or 8% at the time. So, I mean, I wonder, like, if people want to hurt Bitcoin, are they just going to keep republishing the same China story from 2017 and be like, hey guys, did you know China did this thing? And a bunch of new people will be like, no, I didn't. Sell everything, you know, because it's like, as you said, you know, there's nothing new here, but everyone is talking about it. You know, I even got duped this morning where I'm looking through and I start seeing headlines. I'm like, what happened in China? And then you read through it and you're like, oh, nothing. They're literally just reaffirming what they said years ago, which did affect the market at the time. Did I see a hand go up there, Zach?
Me and Will actually did at the exact same time. Yeah, Reuters committed some headline crime here. So yeah, read the trade publications, read CoinDesk, read the other outlets that know their stuff. I'll toss it to you, Will. I don't know if you're going to say the same thing.
Yeah, similar point. It's funny, 4 weeks ago, everyone was saying that China controls Bitcoin and that we need to be careful of China, you know, messing with Bitcoin, like holding it captive. And then 4 weeks later, we have China banning Bitcoin. Like, it just like the narratives for FUD just are so weak, and we keep seeing that, but somehow they do cause the market to just tumble.
Well, if anything, this has proven actually that Reuters controls Bitcoin. So who cares about China? Reuters has it in the palm of their hand. They will control the prices. So be very, very careful out there. Reuters is a very dangerous institution.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. This is sort of like mass adoption, right? Like, this is the mass adoption moment, and this is kind of a snapshot of that mass adoption moment, right? That mass panic moment at scale is really interesting to watch unfold from over here in coverage land. So yeah, we'll see. We'll be watching this story closely through the rest of the day, and we'll see what the charts look like later on. But Jen, take it away.
Before I move on, I just want to say we should have an episode where Naomi just does a dramatic read of all of our stories. I would really appreciate that. The voices and characters are amazing. Yeah.
With commentary.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so according to users, crypto lender BlockFi has been depositing excessive amounts of Bitcoin into user accounts and then trying to reverse it. So this is according to an article written by Ben Powers, who unfortunately is not here today. And the issue is tied to a March promotion that happened on the platform where they were rewarding people with Bitcoin for trading in a certain volume of USD. So a lot going on here. One of the users that was mentioned in the article was sent 700 BTC. That person left it in their account and it was reversed. But some people moved the Bitcoin off platform, and it's caused quite an issue for BlockFi. But Will, I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty interesting story, and it kind of brings in a lot of different sub stories, I'd say, into it. So like, BlockFi is a neobank, you can kind of call it, where they allow you to deposit Bitcoin or stable coins or whatnot and take loans out, do any financial product with it using cryptocurrencies. And they've gotten a lot of flack in the past just because the method for protecting yourself from the volatility that we saw like today with a banking structure is very, very difficult. And on top of this, you have these promotions that go awry. And here we have someone fat fingering a transaction or just messing up somehow. And they sent the wrong amount or the wrong kind of coin to users for this giveaway. And so now the question is like, what is on the backside? Like, what is BlockFi going to do? Do they have enough to cover all their bases? More than likely they do. They've covered like a lot of recent funding rounds. So they have a lot of money in the bank. But it's just kind of like egg on their face in this situation that they're trying to be onboarding the next generation of investors and become a bank in line with the other larger banks in the world, like the Citibanks and the USA banks of the world, and yet they can't even get this giveaway correctly. So kind of a rough day for them. And then paired with that, the Bitcoin price going down and them not having that Bitcoin on hand, there's some questions about, did they lose a lot from Bitcoin's price tumble today because they messed up from this giveaway? I think there's going to be a lot of follow-up stories from this at the very least.
So embarrassing.
Yeah,
really embarrassing.
Really tough timing for sure, given given that it preceded this big market crash. So yeah, a lot of people are understandably, you know, either like sympathetic to BlockFi's travails or worried about the state of that company right now. But it'd be interesting to see what comes of this one. But yeah, can you imagine just like opening your account and being like, oh, 700 Bitcoin in there? Where'd that come from? That's a lot of money, you know?
Better move this quickly.
That's not nothing. Yeah.
This poor intern did it.
Shame that, yeah, poor intern. So they've sent some threatening legal papers to a few users who have moved the Bitcoin off platform, and it just got me thinking, like, threatening the users for not really doing anything wrong is not a good look. It just feels like a real PR nightmare. I mean, Naomi, when you hear that, what do you think of?
I mean, what else are they going to do? Like, someone takes Bitcoin out of their account. That's not reversible, right? And they said that, fewer than 100 clients were incorrectly credited, but one of the clients was credited with 700 Bitcoin. How many people were credited with that much? Like, is BlockFi completely in the red now? I'd probably be threatening people too, because I'd be absolutely, terrified that we've just gotten rid of all of our money, they're in a really tough spot right now. Maybe there'll be some good Samaritans out there who are like, okay, BlockFi, I'll give you back this. Or maybe some people will be like, no, this is mine. I have the keys to it now. And your error, it's on you. I mean, we'll have to see what happens here.
That 700 Bitcoin was actually returned. Danny, if you ended up with 700 Bitcoin in your account, are you returning it?
Absolutely, I would not quickly move it out of my account because it's really like legal papers. And, it seems like the people that this is happening to, BlockFi does appear to be offering them $1,000 in a stable coin as a payment for the kind of site. Just here, take the money and go away. Don't bother us with this. Give us back our Bitcoin. But there's also these instances of apparently people getting the money from BlockFi, and then BlockFi saying, you got this stable coin we paid you off in by mistake, and they want it back. So, I don't really know what I would do, but I don't think I would quickly rush 700 Bitcoin off in a hurry. I think there'd be just too many risks associated with that.
There's some sort of CeFi DeFi take in here as well, right? Like this is a centralized crypto lending platform. Obviously, there are decentralized crypto lending platforms which presumably don't suffer from such errors, but do suffer from other risks. So there's probably some smart DeFi CeFi take that could be crafted here, but I don't have it in me today. All right, well,
and you're like, but it's not coming from me.
It's not coming from me. Nope, no,
One
sir.
day.
All right, well, we'll take a break and I'll formulate that idea. Sure. When we come back, a little slice of controversy over Anthony Pompliano's new Bitcoin pizza venture. We'll check that out after the break. Thanks.
We are witnessing the greatest paradigm shift in finance in modern history. Join thousands of newsmakers and influencers talking the future of money at Consensus by CoinDesk. A live virtual experience of leaders, changemakers, virtual reality meetups, keynotes from Ray Dalio, Gary Vaynerchuk, and much more. Get an up-close look at the boom in crypto, the surge of institutional investment in Bitcoin, NFT mania, the breakneck innovation in decentralized finance, and the coming disruption from central bank digital currencies. Join us May 24th to May 27th for Consensus by CoinDesk.
All right, welcome back to The Hash. Let's talk about Wells Fargo getting into the crypto game on this day of all days. Wells Fargo, the bank, is going to offer some of its wealth management clients access to the crypto markets. This is the latest in a string of big banks to get involved in this space, but obviously, given the timing, it's a little funny. I think my question is, now that we see the perils of price go down, whether announcements like this will sort of trickle away sort of in the regularity of their cadence, or if these investors are able to stomach such moments and still see the upside to some of these assets. I'm going to throw this to Danny because he covers bank stuff sometimes. You cover JP Morgan doing their thing, Morgan Stanley doing their thing. This is a continuation of that in some ways. Looks like Wells Fargo is taking the actively managed approach according to that report. What's your take on Wells Fargo becoming the latest bank to get involved in providing clients access to Bitcoin?
Well, I think it might be one of the last institutional adoption stories we see for a little bit here, just because it's a lot sexier to roll these products out in a bull market where your clients aren't pestering you with more depressing questions than it is in a bear market for crypto. And I gotta say though, I've always been skeptical of these banks offering these types of products, not because the products are bogus, but just because, especially for the passively managed funds, and it doesn't appear to be that this would be one of those. There are just better ways to gain exposure to Bitcoin than having to pay for a fee and this and that and not actually owning it. And really, these types of products are just ways to make it easier for really well-heeled investors to jump in. I would say, though, that of all the banks out there, Wells Fargo specifically offering any type of crypto product, I'm very skeptical of, because that bank does not have a great history of treating its customers right. Of course, with the wealth management, that's a bit higher priority than the retail customers that have been hurt by Wells Fargo's practices in the past. But again, I think this might be one of the last of these stories that we're seeing for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll jump in there. It's interesting because they're saying that this is likely to be available for qualified investors around mid-June. This was said by Darryl Cronk, who's the president of Wells Fargo Investment Institute. And it's interesting that you have this permissionless system like crypto, and then a bank takes hold of it, and suddenly they're precluding all types of people again. Like, they take a good thing, and then they say, also, we're going to cut out entire segments of the population and not have this available to them, even though, the underlying asset itself is available to anyone. And that's why we love it, because there's so much inclusion with crypto. So that's kind of interesting. And it's also interesting, how they're just reiterating the due diligence that's required with this. This is an alternative investment rather than strategic allocation. It's really high risk, and they're probably doing a lot to educate their investors about this. I put some money into a retirement account in crypto, one of the crypto funds, because we don't have an ETF, so I have to use one of these managed funds for retirement stuff. But they made me change my allocation to, I don't know, undecided what my strategy is for investment, to high, super high, danger, high voltage risk. And I had to tick all these boxes saying yes, I understand the risk and all this, because I think maybe a lot of people are getting into this. We go from $60,000 to $30,000, and suddenly people are like, I've just lost half of my retirement account. So, it is important that people understand this. I hope that they're really honing down on the educational side of this. And I'm just not a big fan of them, taking this open system and precluding certain people from enjoying it. But it's just my take.
It's the bank grade training wheels Bitcoin version. I'll toss this to you, Will. Do you think, like Danny said, that this is the last of the institutional adoption stories that we'll be seeing for the immediate future, or do you think there's still more to come?
There's definitely more to come. I just think they won't announce it for a little bit until we get probably back into the 50s. I know that a lot of these institutions have been doing so throughout the winter months, and it takes a while to get the okay from your boss upstairs to be able to buy Bitcoin. And I think after you saw MicroStrategy, and you saw Tesla and you saw Square start allocating Bitcoin, I think a lot of treasuries were looking that way, but then they didn't announce it. And now here's another reason not to announce it. So I expect more of it in the future, but probably not till maybe the summer months or the end of the summer. That's my forecasting for what it's worth. But yeah, kind of a sad day for Bitcoin all around.
Yeah. The timing here, inauspicious start to Wells Fargo's crypto adventure. I'll toss this to Jen. We've seen a lot of this obviously in the last couple of months. Is there a name in the institutional space that you would be blown away by if they jumped into Bitcoin? Are there any lingering financial giants that you would be surprised to see enter the scene?
I don't think any are left. I've been quite surprised that the ones who've jumped in have done so, as we've seen over the past few months. But Zack, as you were talking about the institutional training wheels, I was thinking about what Naomi was saying earlier. And do you think at this point people still need those institutional training wheels to get into Bitcoin? Like, is that really necessary? Do you think people are going to continue to care about stories like this as we move forward?
I mean, different strokes for different folks, right? So, if I value I don't have a wealth management account. Like, I don't know, maybe that's a value to me and I want to do my business there and I want to do my business there alone, then, hey, that works for me as a customer. I'm going to pay that fee. That's fine. If I want to do that for my other assets, but if I want to invest directly in crypto assets, there are plenty of places for me to do that. But clearly some people would rather have that sort of trusted advisor as they enter this space. And I think that's maybe to be expected. I think we're going to change gears here. I think Naomi is Naomi, are you next?
Let's swap over. I am next, Zach. We're going to talk about the upcoming Bitcoin Pizza Day, which is happening on Saturday, and an announcement from Anthony Pompliano. So yesterday he released an infomercial. Let's take a look at what he said.
This Saturday is the 11-year anniversary of the infamous Bitcoin Pizza transaction. It was the first purchase of a good or service using Bitcoin as a currency 11 years ago. When you place an order at eatbitcoinpizza.com, not only are you getting tasty food, but you're also supporting a local small business and Bitcoin developers around the world. So this Saturday, make sure that you clear your account.
Yeah. Okay. So it's an interesting idea. It kind of seems like it works like Interflora, like you have this centralized front end where people can go in and then the orders get disseminated to like local businesses who will fulfill them. But let's address the elephant in the room here is that he's creating this Bitcoin Pizza enterprise. And he's announcing it and he's publicizing it as be a part of history to celebrate the fact that it was the first ever exchange of Bitcoin for real world goods. They were trailblazers. They really set the stage. They cemented the price. It was like this legendary action that happened. But Pump is not going to be accepting any Bitcoin for his pizzas. Which I think is the most cringeworthy thing that he could possibly do. I'm going to throw this to the group.
I think it's fine. I mean, it didn't work out was it Laszlo? Was that the guy who bought the original Bitcoin pizza?
What do you mean it didn't work well for Laszlo? That's like I'm going to call you out on that, Zach. That's so ignorant because it was because of that trade that we cement now. Oh my gosh, guys! No. Let's give you a little bit of a history lesson here. Let's give you a little bit of history.
Give it to me.
No, it is absolutely not right. Okay, so first of all, he's talking about, well, it's good. These people need Bitcoin orders and all of that. And we're ignoring the other side of the trade. So everyone talks about Laszlo Hunyats. He lost this money. Let's talk about Jeremy Sturdivant, who gained 10,000 Bitcoin, right? And then he put that money straight back into the economy. And then it was a catalyst for this movement that really set Bitcoin surging. It was like 3 months later that the price had skyrocketed to like 7 cents. Here it was like, 3/4 of a cent or something like that. And even then, like the price, it wasn't even cemented and everything. At this time, no one was really sending, like it was really difficult to get a gauge on how much Bitcoin was worth. You had like bitcoinmarket.com. I have like the order book. There were hardly any orders going on at the time. You can get a rough gauge. People say that, 10,000 Bitcoins was around $41. Super rough estimate, guys. Most of it was happening like peer-to-peer on Bitcoin Talk Forum. But really, it was like a bunch of nerds kind of throwing money around. They cemented this and created this revolution for us. And instead, you're going to celebrate this by saying, we're going to do the opposite of what you did. We're going to say that, no, we don't actually want to use Bitcoin as something in our everyday lives to give us financial freedom in our choices. Instead, we're going to turn around and say, no, only dirty fiat for us, because that's how we're going to celebrate this. Power up those financial institutions, guys.
Do you want to pay taxes every time you buy a Bitcoin?
I do, Will, and it's not a huge deal. So we need to get off this old bandwagon of this is a showstopper. It's not that difficult, guys.
Different narrative from you previously, Naomi.
You've never heard a different narrative from me. I'm not a fan of taxes, but I do pay them because when someone puts a gun at your head and tells you to do something, generally a good idea to do it.
I think you're vibing with Fidel back there. With you and the taxes, you don't want anything to do with it. But let me tell you something about this pizza deal. It's a marketing ploy. That's all it is. I called one of the
cringeworthy marketing ploy.
I called them yesterday. I said, I'm a reporter. I'm here. I want to talk about the thing. The guy, a very thick Italian accent, he says, this is the very first call I'm getting from you people. I know I got the pizza boxes, I know I have to make the pizza smaller to fit in the pizza boxes. Where's the tablet? You haven't sent me the tablet. You aren't calling me. This is a scam. You should support local businesses. You should donate to charity, but you should do both directly.
So it's not even working?
It's not even working. It's not even working.
Did you write this up?
Working.
Can
I'm going
I told him
to
write it
because
up. He's doing the shoe leather reporting here. He's trying to find another. He's trying to confirm.
I'm going to find another one.
Get Pump on the phone right now.
Yeah, you're going to be buying a smaller pizza. It's a scam. You should support local businesses, and you should donate. You should do it directly.
Slow down on the S word, my friend. I mean, this thing is going to start Saturday. We got a few days here. All right, slow down. Slow down.
Can I just say something like? Maybe Pomp wants people to celebrate by spending US dollars for pizza, like that's somehow, a celebration of Bitcoin in some way. I will actually be using crypto and going to my local pizza store and spending crypto on pizza. And if you guys want to join me, that's awesome. There are lots of organizations out there that actually are like for other cryptocurrencies and say like, yeah, this started the crypto revolution. Let's celebrate this. Let's go spend our crypto. That's how I'm going to be doing it. I think it's kind of cringe that he's using, Bitcoin pizza day as this marketing ploy
for a smaller pizza.
One point. It's for the Human Rights Foundation. All the funds are going to that, which is a great organization. And it's also interesting to see that Bitcoin and the Human Rights Foundation are working together more actively, even if it's cringy. So that's a good thing. I think we can all agree on that.
How is Bitcoin working with the Human Rights Foundation again, Will? Walk me through that.
Oh no. All the money from this will be going.
Wait! From the Bitcoin? How is Bitcoin working with the? I understand this pizza day has nothing to do with Bitcoin, right? Oh, the logo is working with the human. Okay, got it. Glad we clarified.
I'm just going to diffuse this. I'm asking everyone on the panel in the group if we were going to wear pizza shirts on Friday, and no one responded to me. And so I'm taking this opportunity now.
I'm gluten-free, Jen. I'm sorry, I can't wear pizza shirts.
Yeah. We'll get sick if you wear the pizza shirt. Sorry,
it's an allergy.
I'll do my best. Maybe I'll have pizza. I'll eat it on the show.
I don't think the control room would like that. I would love to.
It's too late. It's already decided.
Too late. We're doing it.
All right, so we're gonna have to pick up. Yeah, we're picking up the pieces, moving on from the pepperoni, and moving right on over to Nvidia now.
Did you say picking up the pizzas or pizzas?
I said pieces, and then I made a pepperoni thing, but we'll just.
I like the pepperoni joke.
Anyway,
it was good.
To move on, we're going to tamp down a little bit here. Nvidia, which makes gaming cards, has announced that it is going to be kneecapping the hash rate on its gaming cards to make it more difficult, or rather less appealing for Ethereum miners, because these cards have been really popular as a vehicle for mining ETH. So they've done this in the past, but once again, we're seeing that Nvidia is taking steps to, I think the quote is, ensure that the gaming cards end up in the hands of gamers, and doing so by, limiting the power of these chips. So I'd love to hear Jen's take on this. What do you think of all this?
I just have a question because I don't game. And is the gaming community so passionate about why does Nvidia care who uses these chips? Shouldn't their care be about them selling the chips and making money regardless of its use?
I think there's a couple layers there. I think that their primary consumer is definitely the gamers. It's not Ethereum miners. And if there's a shortage of these chips because of Ethereum, it's not going to play well with their target audience. So I think that they probably see more upside in making sure that they're doing whatever they can to keep the product in the hands of the target audience than in letting others kind of hijack it.
Isn't it more like a money-making scheme where they're planning on releasing specialized products just for miners, so that they'll probably put a premium on it, and it's a way for them to segment and create a new product? And I don't know, it seems strange to say that their primary audience is overwhelmingly gamers, and it's like, well, if it's overwhelmingly gamers, then how is there a shortage in their products? Surely, this small minority isn't creating a shortage for Nvidia. So I don't know, it just seems very strange. It also seems strange strange that they would close off an entire segment of the population that is like hungry for what they're offering. Like, who cares about what they're using it for? They want to buy your stuff. So it really does seem like it's a prelude to them just releasing something that's like, well, we're handicapping this one, so don't go near it, and then pay a premium to get this other one, but it'll help you. Like, it seems like an interesting segue to something like that.
Well, I think that Nvidia's actually had some trouble on the crypto side in the past. There was actually a lawsuit over how much of its revenue was related to crypto mining sales. I'm not sure where that suit ended up, but it was alleged that Nvidia disguised as much as $1 billion in crypto mining sales as gaming revenue, and some have claimed that hit the stock price. Again, I'm not sure where that suit has ended up, but they definitely have had a checkered history with this type of stuff. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the larger like market for these kind of chips and any sort, some like your Apple computer to Bitcoin mining to whatever, like this is typically how they do it, is they provide cards and chips in tranches. So like your Apples of the world get first priority no matter what. They just do, because they just have they just pay more and they're the priority customer. And so the chip manufacturers will do that. And then you go down the line and cryptocurrency is always the bottom tier. And that mostly has to do with just the nature of crypto. Like we saw this morning, the price of Bitcoin dropped 50% in a day. These chip manufacturers don't know if these cryptocurrency miner manufacturers are going to have money in a week or not. And so what do? They segment the market and make sure that the customers who can pay, always gamers are always like, there's a pretty steady stream of income, are going to be able to get the chips first. So it's not like shocking to me that this is happening. And it's not shocking, especially as Nvidia just keeps kind of growing as a kind of force in the gaming market and as a force in the chip manufacturing market. One thing that's interesting to note, though, is that if Nvidia was paying attention to the Ethereum timeline, they'd know that like mining is set to go away with ETH2 pretty soon here. So like maybe them changing things doesn't matter and they don't need to do this.
I don't know. There's certainly, there's this bigger story right now about a global chip shortage. So when it comes to that, I think that I believe they probably do have more upside in catering to their target base than in, I don't know if taking this very fiery rhetoric saying we got to make sure that the chips stay in the hands of the gamers and only the gamers is the best way to do it. But I do think that they have more business upside in honing their message and their audience than in expanding it too much. Zach, what do you think?
Well,
a little silent in the corner.
I like your Fidel poster. I'm just looking at it and I'm just trying to make a clever quip, but I can't think of a good one. So I'm going to skip it for today, but I'm really enjoying it. So that's it for today. We're going to end the hash on that note. It's a big day in the market. So stay safe out there, folks, and stay tuned with stay in touch with CoinDesk.com across the day to see the latest and greatest in market activity in the crypto markets and beyond. I am Zack Seward. That is Naomi Brockwell. Danny Nelson is down there. Jen Sanasie next to him. And then we have Will Foxley. We're the hash. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll do it all over again. Thanks so much for sticking with us, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.